flying through the night, NASCAR dreams within our sight, asphalt heroes in the fight, peacemakers gaining light so bright. Revving it up, feel the pace, speed hounds in the race, feel the thrill, feel the chase, victory is our holy place. Throttle down, no time to waste, in this high-octane haste, every corner, every taste, leads us closer to first place. Under lights the engines scream, this is more than just a dream. Through the asphalt like a beam, racers' hearts with fervor gleam. In this game we find our might, push the pedal like the night. With each lap our spirits flight, racing on with all our might. Trucks flying through the night, NASCAR dreams within our sight, asphalt heroes in the fight, peacemakers gaining life so bright. Revving it up, feel the pace, speed hounds in the race, feel the thrill, feel the chase, victory is our holy place. Thrill the place, thrill the place. Throttle down, no time to waste, in this high-octane haste, feel the thrill, feel the chase, victory is our holy place. Throttle down, no time to waste, in this high-octane haste, every corner, every taste, leads us closer to first place. Throttle down, no time to waste, in this high-octane haste, in this high-octane haste, every corner, every taste, leads us closer to first place. Under lights the engines scream, this is more than just a dream. Through the asphalt like a beam, racers' hearts with fervor gleam. In this game we find our might, push the pedal like the night. With each lap our spirits flight, racing on with all our might. All our might. Thrill the place, thrill the place, thrill the place.
Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome in as we get ready to rock and roll. We get ready to rumble here from Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It is the Joy Richards 81 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, presented by RidgePowerSports, as each and every one of these drivers is going to be looking to put themselves up and into victory lane in what's going to be another absolutely thrilling, absolutely amazing day of racing action. My boy Dimitri, what's good, Mr. Curtis? Dimitri coming in, showing the love with that share over there on Facebook, coming in, dropping that share on the broadcast, and says, let's go. Robert McDonald cheering on Rob McDonald here this evening. Trench out there on the racetrack looking for a good run here this evening, as we'll get each and every one of these drivers ready to rock and roll, ready to go to battle, as qualifying quickly coming to a close. A few drivers left out there getting some extra laps in, making sure they get their second lap in, trying to find that extra little bit of speed and seeing if they can start a little closer to the front of the field. Zach Michael out there. We do see Josh Peacock rolling out there, unfortunately going around hard contact into the inside fence there for that Dirt Track Junkies 09 engraving machine, as tough break right there for him. The France for Pence, the Juke joint number 10 rider Tim Blankenbachler jumps out there onto the racetrack. We are waiting for a few other drivers still to qualify here this afternoon. We haven't seen Kevin Winker, we haven't seen Nathaniel Osherwisky, Brett Summers, Robert McDonald, Matt Langley, Brandon Eastman, or Kyle Van Dassel jump out there for qualifying yet this evening, so we'll have to wait and see if we can get those drivers out there onto the racetrack for a couple of little laps out there on the speedway, as we'll get ready to rock and roll and get ready to see if we can get these drivers to duke it out here, Yeah, we're going to get ready to set these drivers loose. We're going to get ready to go to battle here in just a couple more moments. Each and every one of these competitors going to be looking to put themselves up and into victory lane here this evening, which is going to be an absolutely fun race, man. This is going to be a great race. A lot of tight battles out there on the racetrack. A lot of back and forth. A lot of, pit strategy that's going to come into play. The pit strategy, the tire strategy, all of that's going to come into focus here for each and every one of these drivers, knowing that they want to make sure that they hit that strategy absolutely perfectly. As you see the beautiful downtown Indianapolis over there, over the corner off 3 and down the back straightaway, you can really see that downtown core there, all those big skyscrapers looking beautiful in the background. Here is the racetrack not too far away, and definitely makes for a beautiful sight here. It's such a historic racetrack, such a beautiful racetrack where so many of these competitors, so many of these drivers always look forward to coming to, as this is one of the crown jewels in NASCAR. In each and every one of these drivers, they may not be able to physically kiss the bricks down there on the front straightaway, but virtually each and every one of them, when they win here, they love to celebrate. They would love to be down there and being able to kiss the bricks or taste the milk like we see in the F1 series when they come and run here for the Indy 500. And it's such a great track, so much history here, so many great drivers, and out in front, starting on the pole here in that 16 ride. Been a heck of a run so far for Alex Pelican over the last few weeks. This truck has been very, very fast. He's got a couple pole positions, has led a lot of laps, and going to be looking to try to find victory lane again here this evening, as Pelican will start in that pole position. To his outside will be the 5 ride of Nicholas Snyder. Starting in position number 3 in the 45, that is Chris Gilbert. To his outside in the Celsius number 27, it is Nick Gardner. Starting in position number 5 in that 64 ride, it's Cal Tuberville. Is Tuberville going to start there in that 5th position? To his outside is that Pop Smoke 22, the beautiful 18 ride, that is Jacob Grube. And starting back in 7th in the race line number 1 machine, that is Brad Lane. To his outside in the 24, it is Stephen Hines, as Hines will go up and into that 8th position, as we do see, oh man, looks like the number I believe that's the 1 rider, Brad Lane, going to go to the rear of the field here. Going to move Mark Beverly now up into 7th. Now starting in the 9th position will be this number 77 of Brandon Domingue. To his outside, rounding out our top 10 is Zach Michael, as we see Ryan Peterson, Ed Kosherberger, and then we see Josh Ely back there in that beautiful Dirt Track Junkie 09 laser engraving number 83 machine there in the 13th position. John Herbert there to his inside, as we see Jason LePan, Tyson Pankow, Joshua Ledoux, Nate Maurer back there in that 971 ride. He'll get ready to rock and roll from a little deeper in the field. Same with Will Klein. Brian Chu back there. He's in the 19th position with Josh Peacock to his outside in that 61 ride, running out our top 20 on the racetrack. Tim Blankenbeckler back there in 21st with Neil Lapidus to his outside. And then we see Robert Howard, Kevin Winker, K-Dub in that Muleburger Custom Homes Winker Nation ride back there deeper in the field. Brett Summers will start down to his inside, as we do see the number 14 and Nathaniel Ostrowiski. We see the 31, that is the Juke joint, the Friends for Pets ride of Robert McDonald. Brandon Eastman there in the Menards number 12 truck. He's rolling down there on the inside lane. Here comes Kyle Van Tassel in the RidgePowerSports number 13, and here comes that number 78, Matt Langley, right there as well. Another Juke joint ride, the beautiful for Pets W Energy ride back there deeper in the field, as you do see Brad Lane and our pole sitter Alex Pelican having to start at the rear of the field, and John McCulloch also at the back of the pack. So a couple drivers that were starting up inside the top 10, including our pole sitter, get E.O. Wells and start at the rear of the field, moving a few drivers a little farther to the front here. As now Chris Gilbert will lead us to the green flag here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, as we end all the anticipation with our feature presentation here at Indy, as they will be on the throttle in hard down into corner number 1. Gilbert looking to clear that 5 right of Nicholas Snyder down through that first corner, now into corner number 2. Is this racetrack more of a rectangle out there? Each of these corners built kind of the same, but a little different than what we're used to. It's not one consistent corner. It's not one big arcing corner. It is virtually 4 separate corners with 4 different straightaways. So you get this long front stretch, the big long back straightaway, but here through these corners, down through corner 3. See this little bit of a straight stretch right there for probably about a couple hundred meters, and then you get right into quarter number 4. So you kind of got to figure out a lane, try to figure out a way to drive those corners and still find a ton of speed. And if you mess up on one of the first ones or the second one, it kills so much momentum, and that is a big killer here at Indianapolis Motor Speedways. That momentum and having these cars wound up and firing on all cylinders and making sure that you don't make any mistakes out there as you can slide back in a quick hurry and lose a lot of time. As out in front using that fresh air, it's Chris Gilbert early on leading the way as Nicholas Snyder back there in second. Cal Turbeville up and into third as Nick Gardner and Mark Beverly rounding out our top 5. Brandon Deming there in 6th with Jacob Grube. Ryan Peterson up 5 spots. He's there in 8th. Stephen Hines and Zach Michael rounding out our top 10. Out there on the racetrack is John Herbert, Tyson Pankow, Josh Ely, Nate Maurer, Ed Koshersberger of the 51, Brian Chu, Jason LePan, William Klein, and Joshua Ledoux and Josh Peacock. The Josh is out there on the racetrack. The Triple J rides battling out there on the Speedway back, just rounding out our top 20. That's where we see Kevin Wanker there in that 42 ride. Brett Summers, Robert Howard, Nathaniel Osherwisky, and Tim Blankenbeckler there door-to-door right in front of Neil Lapidus, who's back in that 26th position in that 26 truck. And then you see Brad Lane and Alex Pelican, 2 fast drivers looking to try to race their way back up towards the front of the field. And now a little contact right there between the 26 and the 1. That's going to send that 1 machine, or the 16 ride of Pelican, down the back straightaway, almost into that inside fence. Luckily enough, he's able to catch it, but he's going to lose about 3 or 4 positions and fall a little farther back. There is Matt Langley and John McCulloch right there behind him, as unfortunately that allowed Robert McDonald, Brandon Eastman, and Kyle Van Tassel to get around that 16 machine. It's now Van Tassel up high, as we do see a couple drivers having to make early pit stops here, pass through penalties from last week, and we do see quite a few of them head down pit road here. That is the 87, the RidgePowerSports KR Gutters ride of Mr. John Herbert. Herbert down pit road, and Brandon Eastman in the Menards number 12 ride also coming down pit side to serve these early penalties here this afternoon. As my boy Charlie Tubbs Milner. What's good, Charlie? Charlie coming in, setting it off here in this one. What's good, Charlie? Charlie coming in with a 50-star dono, setting it off here in this one with that big D of the day. Says, let's go, Team Dirt Track Junkies, cheering on all the drivers here with the Dirt Track Junkies logos on the side of their cars here this afternoon. As my boy Jeff McJeffrey, what's good, Jeff? Jeff coming in, showing the love as well. Says, yo, kick the tires and light the fires. Let's go, he says. Let's go, baby. As Jeff coming in with that like on the stream. Frets for Pence with that share. Dimitri Curtis with the heart reaction. And my boy again, Charlie Tub Milner coming in with the big love here with the 50-star dono over there on Facebook. As each and every one of these drivers looking to try to race their way into the front of the field, it's currently that 45 rider Chris Gilbert who continues to lead the way. As you do see Jacob Grube go way down low there out of corner number 2. Luckily enough, able to catch that ride, keep it pointed in the right direction. Kind of separated himself here a little bit between the cars in front of him and the cars back there behind him. As Janelle says, let's go HP Motorsports, hashtag RidgePowerSports KR Gutters. And Richard Bradshaw says, let's go number 20 LePan. Richard Bradshaw in the mother effing house. Let's go, baby. What's good, Richard? Richard showing the love here. What's good, brother? Shauna Rita, what's good, Shauna? Shauna coming in, showing the love, says, hashtag Winker Nation. And, is the... Good, thank you for letting me see that, Shauna. I would not have seen that for quite a while. Let's get that refresh for you. Sometimes SDK just does not refresh itself, so sometimes we gotta do it physically there, and there we go. It is refreshed, it is rolling, and it is back up here in this one. Dimitri says, little late to the party. Not sure if you're aware, but the interval taker isn't up to date. Perfect timing, brother. Perfect timing. Shauna just beat you to it. Shauna just beat you to it. She was the one that gave me the update there on that one. There we go. There we go. There we go. We got her. We got her now, baby. We got her now. It's working perfectly fine here now, ladies and gentlemen, as that taker is rolling. You get to see where all your favorite drivers are, and if you see them out there on the racetrack, let us know up in the comment section right now who you're cheering for and who you want to see up in victory lane. As Chris Gilbert, Nicholas Snyder, Cal Turbeville doing a great job here. 1, 2, and 3 out there on the racetrack, all separated by a couple of truck lengths each and every single one of them. There is a little few truck lengths back. You do see this 27 to Nick Gardner, and they're in position. Number 5 now is the number 3 machine of Mark Beverly. So Beverly in that Asphalt Outlaws number 3 ride up and into 5th. Brandon Deming, they're in 6th with Jacob Grube back in 7th. Zach Michaels sits there in the 8th position with Stephen Hines. Tyson Pankow now rounding out our top 10 as a pair of those Dirt Track Junkies rides start to work their way up and through the field. Right here is Pankow up 7 positions early on in this race. Rolls there just inside the top 10, and his teammate Josh Ely right there behind him as a pair of those Dirt Track Junkies 09 laser engraving rides working their way to the front of the field. Nate Maurer in the DSR Electric number 971 rolling right behind them. He's also up 7 spots back in position number 12 with Ryan Peterson there in 13th. Brian Chu up 7 spots here early on as well, there in that 14th position as he started back in 21st and now finds himself in 14th and looking to quickly make the move out of the mistake out of that 469 run as we saw Peterson get up into the outside wall there ever so slightly on corner exit, and unfortunately just losing that momentum. That little bit of speed down these long straightaways can kill your momentum, kill that speed, and send you backwards in a quick hurry, and made an easy pass there for Brian Chu. And now up the racetrack down low, here comes Jason LePan, gonna roll right down underneath of him and take that 14th position away from Ryan Peterson. Here comes another one of those Tech Warrior rides out there on the racetrack is Ed Koscherberger looking to make his move towards the front of the field is Josh Peacock, Kevin Winker, Nathaniel Ostrowiecki, and Joshua Ledoux rounding out our top 20, but Alex Pelican, they're in 21st, and Brad Lane, they're in 22nd, and now Brad qualified up inside the top 10 here this afternoon. Pelican was our pole sitter here. He was the fastest truck in qualifying in this Grizzly number 16 machine, even after a little contact going down the racetrack there out of quarter number 2 earlier and losing a few spots and losing another second or so out there on the racetrack. He is quickly working his way up and through the field here. After starting at the rear of the field, having to take that EOL and having to start at the end of the longest line, this 16 truck has worked himself now into the 20th position right there with the pass around Joshua Ledoux. Ledoux slides back to 21st, and Pelican now inside the top 20, but with potential of no caution flags here on the evening, this race could come to a close in a quick hurry, and he's still got to make up a ton of ground as we're already 10 laps into this race. 81 laps here this evening as this is the Joy Richards 81 live from Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and right now it is this 5 ride of Nicholas Snyder who's able to take that race lead away. Snyder was able to make the move, find his way around Chris Gilbert. Gilbert, after leading the first 8 laps or so of this race, now slides back into second. Gardner now up into third as Mark Beverly there in 4th, and Cal Turbeville, who was rolling in that 3rd position, now back into position number 5 on the racetrack as here comes Jacob Grube and Brandon Deming trying to hunt them down. Zach Michael there in 8th. Stephen Hines with a great run sitting there in position number 9. And then we see Tyson Pankow, Brian Chu, Jason LePan, Nate Maurer, and Josh Ely, Ed Koschersberger rounding out our top 15 out there on the racetrack as a lot of these drivers still nose to tail, still making some big moves out there on the speedway. Steve Hines says, let's go 24s, cheering on Stephen Hines out there on the racetrack as that 24 ride seems to be hooked up here. The Black Rifle Coffee Company 24 ride had a good qualifying run, qualified up inside the top 10 and still sticking right there. Hasn't fallen back, hasn't made up any ground, but still doing a fantastic job out there on the speedway, rolling some great laps and just keeping himself pointed in the right direction here as first time watching, loving the commentating so far. Says, I don't want to get this wrong. I don't know how you pronounce that, but NVR4 GTTN. I don't know if there's a correct way to pronounce that or not, but coming in showing the big love here in this one. Says, what's up, man? What's up, brother? How are you? Hopefully you're enjoying the show. Hopefully you're enjoying the racing action here this evening. Is out in front, continuing to lead the way. It's Nicholas Snyder. Snyder buys a racing ride out in front and leading the way as Snyder looking to try to pick up another big checkered flag here this afternoon as Chris Gilbert back there in second. Nick Gardner there there in third, with Mark Beverly and Jacob Groove now rounding out our top 5 as he's worked himself around that Klondike 64 of Cal Turbeville. As Turbeville back into that 6th position, unfortunately starting to slide backwards here in this one. Definitely not the spot he wants to be. Is what's good, Mark Simons? What's good? Simons or Simmons? I know it's one or the other, but Mark, what's good, brother? Coming in, show the love, says, let's go for Juke. Cheering on all the Juke joint rides here this afternoon. Mark coming in as well, smashing that follow button, becoming a brand new member of the Peacemaker family over there on Facebook. I appreciate that, Mark, becoming a part of the family here on Peacemaker Gaming. As we do see a few of these beautiful, the Juke joint, the Friends for Pets rides out there on the racetrack. They're all trying to race their way up towards the front of the field. As we look back through the field, we see a few of them a little deeper in the field. Tim Blankenbeckler back there in 25th in his beautiful Friends for Pets Juke joint ride. Right behind him, another Juke joint machine right there. That is the beautiful 31 right. That's Trench right there. That is Rob McDonald back there in 26. The 26 truck of Neil Lapidus back there. Lapidus sits in position number 27. Another one of the Friends for Pets, the Juke joint machines out there in that 27th position. Matt Langley, another Juke joint ride out there on the Speedway as well. Matt rolls there in position number 30 on the Speedway. As we did see a couple drivers have to serve penalties early in this race. For Brandon Eastman in that 87 ride of John Herbert, they're hoping to see a caution flag. They're hoping to see this one quickly go under yellow, so that way they can catch up to the rear of the field and try to race their way up and through the traffic and maybe get themselves a good solid finish. But as we stay clean and green out there on the Speedway, it's allowing our race leaders to slowly but surely track them down and could potentially be the first 2 trucks a lap down here this evening. As Nicholas Snyder right there headed down through quarter 3 and 4. So as he comes out at corner number 4, the other 2 drivers at the back of the pack, Eastman and John Herbert, they're just going down through quarter number 1. So about a straightaway back here. I do believe it's virtually about 12 seconds 12 seconds behind our race leader here, or well, away from our race leader catching them and putting them a lap down. And right now he's still laying down some great lap times, but the big question is going to be is the tire wear, the fuel strategy, everything else for these drivers. As we look up at the board right now, we take a look at the drivers' best lap times out there on the Speedway, which normally they run in the first few laps out there on the racetrack with the freshest tires, and they were running about the 52.5 second, 52.8 second area. Now we see a lot of these drivers running into the later halves of the 54 seconds, 55 second area. So they've already lost a couple seconds off of the tires here already. So just showing you how much these tires and everything else just fall apart even after just 15 laps of racing action. And that's going to be something we're going to have to keep an eye on all evening long, as we do see the caution flag fly. Our first caution flag of the day, a big break right there for Eastman and John Herbert, as we'll take a look back and see what brings this yellow flag out. As it looks like potentially some issues here for Neil Lapidus, as him and Robert Howard get tied together right there, and they both go around. Pretty good contact for both of these cats. As I'm not sure if potentially, I think that's the 88 ride, Will Klein right there. I don't know if Will starts to blink and maybe ends up making contact into the back end of this 26 ride as he gets a big run right here. Now it just looks like the 50 ride unfortunately comes up the racetrack, gets into that right rear quarter panel of the 26 machine, and unfortunately the Osaka Outdoors machine goes for a quick loop-de-loop, and as Robert Howard gets checked up after making contact there with that 26 ride, nowhere to go for the 21 as John McCulloch's going to slide in there. He's going to get a big piece of the back end of that 50 ride and spin him around. Nowhere to go for Matt Langley as well, as he ends up getting into his Juke joint teammate out there on the Speedway. As a few drivers down the backstretch getting some pretty heavy damage right there. They'll be headed down pit side looking to get their cars repaired and hoping to jump back out onto the racetrack. Now is the big question time. Coming down pit road, I think with the tire wear, you really got to come down pit side. Yeah, I don't think you can afford to stay out there and trying to roll a little bit of a different strategy. You got to get those fresh tires onto your race car, and that's exactly where we see everybody coming down pit lane right now. Pit lane, the busiest place out there on the Speedway. Each and every one of these drivers headed down into their pit stalls, ready to make some changes, hoping to get their fresh tires, their fuel, and maybe a couple of adjustments to to make their trucks that much better here this evening from Indianapolis Motor Speedways. Man, oh man, oh man. It's a busy place here, and big mistake right there for our race leader. As we just click over to the other camera, you see that number 5 ride ended up sliding through his pit stall. Unfortunately, went a little too far, had to throw it in reverse and back it up. That second or two could be the difference maker, but still has a pretty quick stop right there, and looks like he will beat all these drivers back off pit lane. So a great run, but it does look like Brett Summers staying out here. A big call from the Boston Web Marketing. Number 7 ride out there on the speedway as Brett Summers does not come down pit road. He's going to stay out there on the racetrack. Now, I'm not sure if he's just trying to stay out for a couple extra laps, knowing that he's going to come down later and make sure he gets that extra couple laps of fuel into that 7 truck, or maybe he's just trying to wait and see. Maybe he can lead a lap, get an extra point or two for leading a lap out there on the speedway as well. So we'll have to see if this strategy is going to play out for him and how it's going to play out for him to put himself into a better situation here this afternoon. As Ian Williams, what's good, Ian? Ian says hashtag Snyder to the front, cheering on Mr. Snyder out there on the speedway. And right now, Ian, your driver's doing pretty good here. Nicholas right there in that top spot for, before this caution flag came out. Now sitting in second, waiting to see what Brett Summers does. As Tower Operator coming in, showing the love as well, says hashtag Winker Nation, cheering on K-Dub here this afternoon. The Winker Nation up in the chat cheering him on. As Cheryl says, it's race day, baby. Vroom, vroom. She says, yes, ma'am. Vroom, vroom for certain. As each and every one of these drivers getting ready to go back to battle, getting ready to duke it out here once again. As there you go, down across the line. Brett Summers is going to stay out. He is going to lead this lap, so good strategy call here. I'm not sure. Looks like the lights are off the official iRacing Pace truck here, so that's going to make things pretty tough here for the 7 truck. He's going to have much older tires than everybody else. He's going to fall back through this field like a rock, ladies and gentlemen. He's going to fall back here pretty quickly, and it's going to be tough to see, watching everyone trying to navigate their way around him, hoping not to make any mistakes or run him over, or having to go, 3, 4, 5 wide just to try to get around him, and potentially running into issues and could bunch a lot of these drivers up. And now for Nicholas Snyder, who was our race leader, no longer the control car here for this restart, so that's going to make things that much more interesting. As we do see the 50 ride, unfortunately, coming out of pit lane a little bit late. Looks like he's going to have to get stopped right there and let the field go by him. And for Robert Howard in this innovative number 50 ride, he is going to go the rear of the field here, and he is scored as a lap downhill lap, but it's also scored a lap down back there in 32nd. Now they are hoping for some more caution flags, open for a couple opportunities at the Lucky Dog in the wave around to get back into the action here this evening. As we get them stacked up, we get them racked up. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you came here for a show. Well, here you go, is our first restart of the evening here from Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the Joy Richards 81. Live from Indianapolis Motor Speedway, it is the HCK Beagles Truck Series presented to you by RidgePowerSports here this afternoon. As the 7 truck of Brett Summers out in front, the Boston Web Marketing ride looking for a big restart and hoping that the tires can hold up. Maybe that fresh air can help him out and try to keep in battle here up towards the front of the field. Maybe get another caution flag in a few more laps and end up with the freshest tires out there on the speedway. He's going to lose that track position no matter what, even if he was to elect to come down pit side there the last time around, and we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. It's a big jump right there for him. They get all squirrely down the front straightaway. Everyone snaking their way down into corner number 1 as Brett Summers beats them all back into that first corner. So Summers out in front, but this is where those fresh tires are going to shine here. It's through the center of the corners and quarter exit when they're able to get back onto the throttle a whole lot sooner than that 7 truck. And you can see these drivers already starting to surround him, already starting to take advantage of those fresh tires and move quickly around this 7 machine. He's now back into position number 3, trying to hold on to that spot, but there goes that 27 and Nick Gardner. Here comes Jacob Grube. Here comes Mark Beverly, and he's just going to continue to slide farther and farther behind here and hoping to see maybe a caution flag, not including himself here in this race. As right now these drivers are burning up their tires a little bit, and for that 7 truck, it's kind of keeping them on pace with these guys and also giving him an extra set of tires possibly for later in this race, and that could be the big strategy call as Snyder out in front. Here comes that 27 of Nick Gardner. Gardner there in position number 2, quickly onto the back bumper of our race leader. Jacob Grube there in 3rd as Gilbert slides back into 4th. Mark Beverly, Cal Turbofeld, Zach Michael, Brandon Ameng now rounding out our top 8 as Brett Summers back into 9th, and now here comes Alex Pelican as well. Pelican 1 spot shy of a top 10 run here out of this 16 truck as he had to take the EOL. He was our pole sitter but had to start at the back of the pack here for our feature event this afternoon, and now has raced his way up and through the traffic. Used that pit stop right there to gain an extra couple positions in the 16 truck. Now finds himself back inside the top 10. Heck of a run there for him as there's Wanker Nation right there. K-Dub in position number 11 with Tyson Pankow back there in 12th. Brett Summers, Nathaniel Ostrowski, and Jason LePan rounding out our top 10 there on the, or top 15 out there on the racetrack as you see Brett Summers right there to his outside. Summers going to slide back now into that 15th position, but here comes Brad Lane. Lane started in position number 7 here this afternoon. Unfortunately, had to take an EOL himself and all of a sudden had to go to the back of the pack and started 32nd on the field here this evening. And for that 1 truck, rebounded back now inside the top 15. Going to look to continue to try to race his way back up inside the top 10 here this evening is Nate Maurer right there behind him. Josh Ely there in 17th. There's that 38 ride. Joshua Ledoux is the Triple J rides almost all lined up right there as Josh Peacock, Joshua Ledoux, and Josh Ely, the Triple J team out there on the Speedway, the Dirt Track Junkies rides, sitting back in position number 17, 18, and now position number 20 is John Herber stuck right in the middle of that group as you do see Stephen Hines back in 21st. Brett Summers now back into 22nd as we talked about how the older tires here for Brett Summers were going to really hurt him, and he continues to slide farther and farther back, but hoping to see maybe another caution flag here. Maybe it's going to be in 10 or 15, maybe 20 laps where every one of these other drivers are going to want to come back down pit road and get another set of tires and some more fuel into their trucks, and Brett Summers having that in his back pocket and not using that extra set right there could potentially help him out here this evening, especially late in this race. If we see that late race caution flag, we could see everyone having to stay out, not having those fresh tires where he can have an extra set back there behind pit wall, and seeing the tire fall off, man, you can make up a lot of ground at a quick hurry, and you can see how they differ and how that differs there. Drivers fall backwards and everything else as we do see a couple drivers head down pit road right here. That's Rob McDonald. McDonald heads down pit side in that Juke joint karaoke. This is that Thursday nights karaoke there at the Juke joint. What? Oh, baby. Karaoke on Thursday nights down at the Juke joint. That sounds like a great time, ladies and gentlemen. If you're in the area, make sure you guys go check out the Juke joint. Join in on some of the karaoke fun as we do see Rob McDonald down pit road getting some fuel and tires into his truck. We also see that 78 ride, another one of those Juke joint Friends for Pets rides out there down on pit road, as well as Matt Langley making an additional pit stop right there as well. It's out in front. Continuing to lead the way here, it's now actually the 27 truck of Nick Gardner. Gardner able to jump up and take that race lead away as Nicholas Snyder slides back into position number 3. So Snyder back into 3rd as Gardner and Jacob Grube sit 1 and 2 out there on the racetrack. Cal Turboville right there on the back bumper of that 5 truck as here comes Bryce Gilbert trying to race his way back to the front of the field as well in that Jenks.com number 45. Mark Beverly there in position number 6 with Alex Pelican now into 7th. Seems like Pelican has a very fast Grizzly ride. That Bucky's machine is definitely marching his way up and through the field and trying to race his way back out in front as he was supposed to start on that pole position. Never got the opportunity to get that fresh air and start at the front of the field, but here he is in this race, already showing that he's got a strong enough truck to make the moves to drive through traffic and try to put himself back into a winning situation here this evening. As Zach Michael back there behind him in that 34 ride. Brandon Ameng and now Kevin Winker Snyder. K-Dub up inside the top 10 as well. Good to see Kevin having a good run here, sitting up inside the top 10. K-Dub's been going through it over the last little while. That 42, that Muleburger Custom Homes ride, he's been on some different strategy calls, different strategy runs out there on the Speedway, and unfortunately, not a lot of them have helped him. Not a lot of them have put him in good positions out there on the racetrack, and it has put him deeper in the points than I think he's expecting, and unfortunately, there's not getting the runs and the finishes that this 42 truck is usually capable of. But here tonight, looking like the old Winker Nation out there on the Speedway, not washed up as what most people thought, and here he is battling up inside the top 10. As you do see that 7 truck right there in front of him, unfortunately, that is Brett Summers. Summers had to make a green flag pit stop right there. He was hoping for that quick caution flag after, 5-6 laps there of green flag racing, hoping that everyone else would burn up their tires a little bit out there on the racetrack and then allow him to come down pit side and put those fresh tires on himself and just drive up through the field. But unfortunately, staying clean and green, no caution flags there. He ended up having to come down pit side. Fuel was getting a little too tight there for him, and the tire wear was really affecting that truck, and unfortunately fell so far back that where when he made that pit stop, he all of a sudden finds himself now back in position number 29 on the Speedway, and scored as our first driver 1 lap down out there on the racetrack. Not the spot that Brett Summers would want to be, but playing that bold strategy call, that bold strategy out there on the racetrack. Unfortunately, sometimes it works your way and other times it just does not, and for right now it's not working out for Brett Summers. He's out in front leading this race. It is the Pump Smoke 22, the 18 truck. It's Jacob Grube. Grube out in front leading this race here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the Joy Richards 81 presented by RidgePowerSports. It's Jacob Grube, Nick Gardner, Cal Turbeville rounding out our top 3 here on the Speedway. Back there in position number 4, it's Nicholas Snyder, and now you do see Alex Pelican up inside the top 5 in that Grizzly Celsius. That Bucky's number 16 truck in that 5th position, looking to try to find his way around Nicholas Snyder for position number 4, but Snyder going to put up a fight here. Not going to let him just take it and run away with that 4th position, so he's going to battle tough there for position number 4, trying to stop the bleeding there for that 5 machine is Mark Beverly there in 6, trying to hunt them both down, trying to work his way back around Alex Pelican for that 5th position, and Zach Michael, Chris Gilbert, Kevin Winker, Brandon Deming rounding out our top 10. They are in tow, trying to hunt those drivers down, trying to race their way up in towards the front of the field here this evening. As some great racing here already in this race, a lot of good solid runs. As Bobby Blair, what's good, Bobby? Bobby says, let's go. Disappointed I'm missing this one, watching from Utah. Utah, brother. What in the world are you doing in Utah, my boy? What's going on in Utah? That's the big question mark right here, brother. What are you doing in Utah, man? That's crazy. That's crazy. I'm in Ontario, so we don't got nothing crazy like Utah. We don't got any of these crazy states or anything else. We go. I go east. It's French land, and then we go to the coast of Halifax and stuff. Halifax, everything's beautiful. Not a whole lot going on in Quebec. You go west. I mean, you hit Manitoba, nothing going on there. You hit, Alberta and Saskatchewan, nothing going on over there. You get a little bit of the Rockies when you get into British Columbia, but other than that, there's not a whole lot of crazy, exciting things up here in Canada. Nothing like crazy, down in Utah. You can go to, I do believe Utah's where the Grand Canyon is it not, or is that Nevada? I'm pretty sure it's Utah, though. It's where the Grand Canyon is. That's a pretty crazy place. That would be something cool to see on the bucket list, as, that'd be pretty awesome to go watch and take a look and see that beautiful Grand Canyon. Maybe go for some beautiful hikes down there, and so many other crazy states, man, with so many crazy things and landmarks and everything else down there in the U.S. Says, man, maybe we got to make a move down there, chat. Maybe we got to make a move down there again. As Jacob Grube out in front, Jacob leading the way here in this one and starting to run away with it. As out in front, he's opened up about a 1.6 second lead here as Cal Turbeville up and into position number 2. Alex Pelican now into 3rd as he's worked himself now finally around that 5 ride of Nicholas Snyder and the 27 of Nick Gardner. So Snyder and Gardner falling back to 4th and 5th out there on the racetrack. Now you see this 7 ride. That is Brett Summers. Summers already having to make a pit stop here now. He came down pit road, I would say probably about what is that, 7 laps after these drivers, probably about 6 laps of green flag racing, and you can see the tire difference. 6 laps make, 5 laps make of green flag racing on the older tires, the cars that are around him right here, and he's got that extra speed, that extra momentum, and he is all over these cats and trying to race his way back onto the lead lap, hoping to see this kind of cycle on through, maybe put himself into another really good position out there on the racetrack. But right now he's just trying to navigate his way through all these drivers and all the traffic and trying to race his way up to our race leader, and so isn't everybody else, as Jacob Groom just looking to continue to pull away and continue to drive away, as there goes that 31 truck. That's the 31 machine of Ron McDonald here. Trench just getting back out on the racetrack. Unfortunately there for Trench, his pit stop that we saw down on pit lane for the Juke joint ride, unfortunately took a little longer than I think he was expecting, and now finds himself multiple laps down out there on the Speedway, and definitely not the spot that Trench wants to be here this evening. But we'll see if maybe we get a bunch of caution flags, maybe somehow or another he can race his way back into contention here this evening. Still a lot of time and a lot of things can happen out here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but for the most part, it is all Jacob Groom. Groom continues to lead the way as we are 32 laps done in this race. 32 laps up and onto the board. 31 laps technically completed here, and 50 laps of racing action left this afternoon from Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And man, this has been a pretty good one. Only one caution flag, that one incident down the back straightaway where we saw, about 4 or 5 drivers get collected or end up with a bit of damage on their rides. But other than that, it has been clean sailing and a lot of green flag racing out here for these drivers, and that's exactly what they want to see. They want to see that green flag action. They want to see some of these pit cycles play out, some of the pit strategy play out, and see where they can stack up versus everybody else. But right now it's Jacob Groove with the 2-second lead between himself and Cal Tuberville. There you see Tuberville, you see that 7 rider Brett Summers, who's trying to make sure he stays in that free pass position, but also seeing if he can race his way back onto the lead lap as he's in between Tuberville and Alex Pelican, as Pelican up and into 3rd from the back of the pack here this evening. Nicholas Snyder there in 4th, Nick Gardner there in 5th. Mark Beverly back in 6th with Zach Michael, Kevin Winker, K-Dub up 20 positions, started back in 28, finds himself there in that 8th spot on the Speedway with Brandon Deming back there in 9th, and Nathaniel Ostrowiski rounding out our top 10, also up 20 spots. Started back in position number 30, now up into the top 10 here this evening. Brad Lane had to take an EOL to start this race. He was supposed to start up in position number 7, ended up having to start back in 32nd. Now he's there in the 11th position with Chris Gilbert, our early race leader, back there behind him. Brian Chu there in 13th, and then we see Tyson Pankow, Josh Ely, Nate Maurer there in 16th, Josh Peacock back in 17th, battling door to door here with Jason LePan. LePan and that Tech Warrior, number 20 ride down to his inside, looking to try to take position number 17 away here from that Dirt Track Junkies number 61 machine. Stephen Hines there in 19th in a battle back here for position number 20. Is Brandon Eastman going to take that 20th spot away from Joshua Ledoux? Ledoux slides back to 21st as Ed Koshersberger there in 22nd. John Herbert and Ryan Peterson right at our top 24 with Kyle Van Tassel. John McCulloch there in 26. Tim Blankenbeckler there in 27th with Brett Summers, the first driver, 1 lap down, still out there on the Speedway, but now only has 1 lap driver and our race leader away from going back on the lead lap here for that 7 truck as he rolls there what would be technically in the 2nd position out there on the racetrack, but trying to just play this cat and mouse game and trying to get a lap back from our race leader Jacob Groove. Is Matt Langley, Neil Lapidus, Robert Howard, Will Klein back in 32nd, and Rob McDonald there in 33rd, as unfortunately it looks like Will Klein has actually taken his truck down behind pit wall here, so potentially some engine failure there out of that number 88 machine and his 09 laser engraving Bulletproof Motorsports. Dirt Track Junkies, number 88 ride heads down behind pit wall. Tough break there for Mr. Klein, as it's going to have him finishing at the rear of the field. As Groove out in front, continuing to lead the way as they roll down and out at quarter number 4. Back down and across the start-finish line here for that 18 machine. He'll click off another lap, and we see lap 35 into the history books here this evening. So 35 laps complete out of 81, and we're inching closer and closer closer to that halfway marker here this evening. As halfway through this race, we'll jump into a Peacemaker gaming, crank it up. We may also start to see a little bit of that pit strategy start to come into play. This is the longest run that these drivers have really had to take here this afternoon, as we saw about a 15-lap run, 16 laps before that first caution flag of the day. Drivers then came down pit side a couple laps to roll back to it. We probably went back to green flag racing around lap number, I'm going to say around lap 18. We probably went back to green flag racing, and with that green flag coming back out, that just makes things a little bit more treacherous for each and every one of these competitors. Let's take a look back here and see exactly when these cats came back to green flag racing. That was lap number 18, 19 right there. So that makes up for, quite a few laps right there under caution flag. But unfortunately, they're starting to roll back into that 15 lap, 16 lap area right now of what they ran during that first run, and that's where the tires really start to fall off, and drivers really trying to just hang on to their rides and keep their trucks pointed in the right direction here, as Jacob Grube out in front. Last time around ran a 54.86. Most of the drivers back behind him, actually every driver back here behind him throughout most of the field here, all ran in the 55-second bracket. So that means tire fall off of about 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds out there on the speedway for a lot of these cats. So that is a lot of time to be given up out there on the speedway. 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds, man, that is a big chunk of change. That is a lot of time out there on the speedway, and to be following that far off the pace, that's where we can really start to see some of the different pit strategies come into play and affecting these drivers' decisions and rides and everything, what they're going to do down on pit road, especially if we see green flag pit stops. Drivers are going to be wanting to try to make a quick stop where we may see drivers elect to go with 2 tires, maybe get those 4 tires and still just fill these trucks up full of fuel, as you're going to be down there on pit road anyways, getting probably 10, 12 seconds worth of fuel into these trucks to try to get a full cycle out of them, as we do see Tim Blankenbackler headed down pit side here in that number 10 ride. We'll see Robert Howard down pit road as well in the 50. So few more drivers starting to elect to take those green flag pit stops. We did see Neil Lapidus also unfortunately go a lap down early in this race, same with Matt Langley. Now they're sitting just outside of a free pass position, as Brett Summers sits in that free pass spot, as now we start to see even more drivers head down pit road. This is going to really open it up, as one of those drivers being our race leader, Jacob Grube. Grube down pit side. Here comes Cal Turbeville in that 64, as well as Kevin Winker. K-Dub heads down pit side. Nate Maurer, Stephen Hines, Josh Peacock. Here comes John Herbert, Ryan Peterson, John McCulloch, all headed down pit road as well. So green flag pit stops now underway, just a little bit shy of halfway through this race. A little shy of halfway through this event here this afternoon, and we start to see these green flag pit stops. Now it's going to be a big and tough decision time here for a lot of these drivers. You got to come down pit road fairly soon, as the look out front here. It's that 16 truck of Alex Pelican, but Pelican is going to head down pit road right here. He gets really checked up. You see that 27 gained quite a bit of time on him right there, quickly rolling up to his back bumper. That's Pelican, Snyder, Mark Beverly, and pretty much everybody else here going to head down pit road, and look out, the 20 rider Jason LePan. Heavy hit into the inside wall right there, the pit wall. We see this 20 ride just clobber it. Let's take a look here and see if we can get another angle at this 20 ride, as he ends up driving in to that wall right there. Not sure what he was thinking or what was going through his mind, but he was following that 14 truck, and unfortunately just gets to the outside of him here. This thing just takes up the racetrack, and then bam, right there. That's a heavy, heavy hit. That right front's going to be pretty busted up, and unfortunately for him, that's going to probably put him down pit road for an extended period of time, as you see all these other drivers take off and starting to pull away down on the front straightaway. He is still parked down pit road, as now here we go. Here comes that 5 ride. That is the 5 machine of Nicholas Snyder. Here comes Brandon Eastman, the last 2 trucks out there to come down pit road. Jacob Grube had the race lead as these green flag pit stops kind of got underway. He's looking to take that race lead back away, as we are virtually halfway through this race here. Halfway in, halfway to go here this afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up for all these drivers. A beautiful section of green flag pit stops. They were able to make quick work of it. Only that one incident down pit lane, and now we'll have to wait and see where Snyder and Eastman and all these drivers kind of come out together and where they all line up out there on the speedway. Is right now the 18 truck down the front straightaway is going to take that race lead back away. So Jacob Grube out in front, and now you'll see that difference of coming down pit road a couple laps later is going to make, as Nicholas Snyder was rolling about that 4th, 5th position. As he's rolling back out onto the racetrack here, he's got to stay down below these yellow lines down through corner number 2 here on the speedway. So he's got to get checked up quite a bit more than everybody else. He's going to lose a little bit of momentum down the back straightaway here, as drivers going to look to try to get around him right here. As you can see, it's Trench there in the 31, the 42 of Kevin Winker. Winker's got a good run. He's looking down to the outside of that 5 right as they send it down into corner number 3 here at Indy. That is going to put Winker in front of Nicholas Snyder. So Snyder falls back into about the 7th position on that pit cycle. Now he does have a lap or 2 lap better tires than everybody else in front of him, which could come back to benefit him, but right now he's about 10 seconds behind our race leader, Jacob Grube. And Grube out in front has about 2.7 seconds between himself and Cal Turbeville. Turbeville rolling there in position number 2, has about 4 seconds between himself and our 3rd place driver, Alex Pelican. Pelican there in position number 3, and that's really the difference between one lap coming down pit road. Grube and Cal both came down pit side on lap number 38. They had that one lap of fresher tires, and they were able to open up a few seconds between themselves and the 16 truck of Alex Pelican. As Pelican back in position number 3, he's about I want to say 6.6 seconds back of our race leader, Jacob Grube. Nick Garner, he's about 8 seconds back of the race leader, Mark Beverly. He's right there as well, as these two nose to tail out there on the racetrack. Nicholas Snyder about 10.5 seconds back of the race leader, with Kevin Winker right there on his back bumper. Nate Maurer there in 8th. Brandon Domingue back in 9th. And Brad Lane now back inside the top 10 here for Brandon. He rounds out our top 10 out there on the racetrack, about 12 seconds behind our race leader. Zach Michael there in 11th, with Stephen Hines in position number 12. Chris Gilbert, Josh Ely back up into 14th as Nathaniel Ostrowiecki, Brian Chu, Tyson Pankow, Brett Summers, Brandon Eastman, and Josh Peacock round out our top 20. Joshua Ledoux there in 21st, with Ed Koshersberger, John Herbert, Ryan Peterson, John McCullich, Tim Blankenbeckler, Kyle Van Tassel, Neil Lapidus, Matt Langley, Jason LePan, Robert McDonald, Robert Howard, Will Klein bringing up the rear of the field here this evening. As 33 drivers took the green flag, 32 drivers still rolling out there on the speedway, and every single one of the other 31 are chasing down this 18 ride of Jacob Grube. His Grube continues to lead the way, over 2.5 seconds between himself and our 2nd place driver, Cal Turbeville. As they head down the back straightaway, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're going to jump into a Peacemaker Gaming Crank It Up. So crank up that volume and cheer on your favorite drivers as we crank it up here on Peacemaker Gaming. Speedway. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up here for all these drivers. A beautiful crank it up session here this afternoon, giving you the sights and sounds around the beautiful Indianapolis Motor Speedways. Out in front, it's Jacob Groove who continues to lead the way. Groove out in front, he's found the groove, and he is looking to disappear from the hindsight of every single one of those drivers back there behind him, and looking to start to put some of these drivers a lap down out there on the speedways. We'll start to see green flag pit stops come back into question here this afternoon. His driver is going to elect to probably start to come down pit road here very, very shortly, as probably wanting to hit probably around that lap number 20 marker, try to split this little bit of the second half of this race. So we'll wait and see. Probably over the next 3-4 laps, drivers probably really going to start to head down pit road and start to make these green flag pit stops. As out in front, leading this race, it's that 18 machine of Jacob Groove. Groove has a pretty sizable lead between himself and our second place driver out there on the speedway. Get a great look at it right there, about half that straightaway back is Cal Turbeville. Turbeville about 3.5 seconds behind our race leader. About 2 and a bit back behind him, we see Alex Pelican there, our pole sitter, who has drove his way from the rear of the field back up to the front of the pack here. He rolls there in that third position, and back behind him, one of those drivers that stayed out the additional lap out there, waiting a little bit longer to come down pit side. Now starting to have those little bit of a finks, that extra little bit of grip out there compared to everybody else, even though it's only a lap or two. Still showing a lot of extra speed here compared to the rest of these drivers in front of him, and right now he is still one of the few drivers that are rolling inside the 54-second lap area. Jacob Groove and Snyder, two of the only drivers that the last few laps around have been in that 54-second gap here. Here we go. Here comes that Pump Smoke 22, the 18 truck of Jacob Groove heading down pit road. So Groove heads down pit side here with 23 down across the line, be 22 laps left to go here in this race. Now we'll have to wait and see how many more drivers head down pit side as Groove, Cal Turbeville, the 77 of Brandon Domingue, the number 971 of Nate Maurer comes down pit road. Here comes Stephen Hines down pit side, as well as Joshua Ledoux in that 38 truck. So a bunch of drivers elected to come down pit side here in this one, making sure their trucks are absolutely perfect and ready to rock and roll. It's out in front, staying out here, and leading that lap is that 16 truck of Alex Pelican. As Pelican out in front, now leading the way here this evening. Nicholas Snyder there in second. Nick Gardner back in third. Mark Beverly and Brad Lane running out our top five. Now we saw pretty much Pelican and a lot of these other drivers come down pit road the second lap, the next lap around here, and that's exactly what we see. Alex Pelican dives down pit road here the next lap after our race leaders as he comes down pit lane. We're going to see Zach Michael, Kevin Winker. Here comes K-Duff. Here comes Josh Ely, also down pit road. Nathaniel Ostrowiski, he's going to head down pit side. Here comes that 51 of Brian Jew. As we start to see even more drivers head down pit lane now. We see a few more drivers electing to stay out a little bit longer here, as we do see Nicholas Snyder as our race leader here again this evening. Snyder there in the top spot. Nick Gardner, Mark Beverly, Brad Lane, Chris Gilbert, Tyson Pankow, Brandon Eastman, and Ed Koshersberger so far look to be a couple of the only drivers yet to come down pit road. So we're seeing about 8 drivers stay out there a little bit longer, trying to play the second half of this run here, as the 5 ride of Nicholas Snyder's really backed up the pace here in that 5 ride, as you see those fast cars coming right there to his back bumper as he heads down pit road. As here comes Nick Gardner, Mark Beverly also down pit lane. We'll see if Brad Lane comes down pit road. Here comes that race line machine. Here comes Chris Gilbert, our 5th place competitor. Tyson Pankow also headed down pit side, as Eastman going to stay out for another lap here. So Brandon Eastman playing a bold strategy call here. He's going to stay out for an additional lap. Well, he's going to be pretty much the last driver to come down pit side here for the second wave of green flag pit stops here this evening, as things will cycle back around. It should put Jacob Groove back out in front of this field. Ryan Peterson, I do believe, yet to come back down pit lane here as well in that RidgePowerSports 469 ride. Unfortunately for Ryan, he is a lap down, but here he comes down pit side. See with the 26, the Juke joint Friends for Pets ride. That is Neil Lapidus also making his green flag pit stop here again this afternoon, as we do see Mark Beverly coming back onto the racetrack. Chris Gilbert, Brad Lane, all these drivers getting ready to roll once again. Is Brandon Eastman going to stay out here? We'll have to wait and see if he comes down pit side this time or not. We'll take a look, as it does look like he's checked up. He's headed down pit road here, so it does look like Eastman going to stay out there for a lap or two extra compared to everybody else, and now dive down pit lane. Now, big question is going to be, is that fuel mileage and for how far these drivers were really able to go right there. It seemed like it was about, lap 38 to lap 59. Was at 21 laps there for Jacob Grube on that last run. Now, he did come down pit road with 22 laps left in this race. Does that mean he's got enough fuel in that truck, or is he potentially going to be a lap shy, or can he stretch it out for an extra couple laps right there and make it to the end of this race? We'll have to wait and see, but Grube out in front once again has a 5-second lead now between himself and Alex Pelican. Pelican back there in position number 2, 5 seconds back. He does have a lap fresher tires as Cal Turbeville slides back into position number 3. Snyder right there with them in position number 4 and looking for more here now. He's got a couple laps better tires than our race leader, Nick Gardner, as well as Mark Beverly there in that 3 machine. Brandon Ming came down pit road there on lap 59. Same with Nathan Maurer as they're back in 7th and 8th. Zach Michael came down pit road on lap 60. Same with Kevin Winker and Josh Ely there, 9th, 10th, and 11th on the racetrack. Brad Lane came down pit road on lap 61. Same with Chris Gilbert there, scored now back in 12th and 13th here on the racetrack. Stephen Hines there in 14th with Tyson Pankow running out our top 15 out there on the racetrack. Doesn't look like any speeding penalties or any big issues for a lot of these drivers that made that second wave of green flag pit stops. So good news for each and every one of them as we can just keep on racing on. No big issues, no worries out there on the Speedway. And for this 18 ride of Jacob Root, he's kind of in a bit of a gangle of cars right here. He's got a lot of lap traffic around him, and that's really affecting his ride as Alex Pelican has been hunting him down. As they came back out onto the racetrack, Pelican was about 5.5 seconds back of our race leader. It's now down to about 3.5 seconds as he's got about 2 seconds out of our race leader's lead out here on the Speedway. Now, I'm not sure if that's Jacob Grube trying to save a little extra fuel here, or maybe it's just him having to try to work his way through some of that traffic, but nonetheless, he's lost quite a bit of time. Even the last time around here, ran a 53.93. That was about half a second slower than Alex Pelican. Pelican got another second, or half a second on him. Snyder was a 53.20, a 53.75 for Cal Turbeville. Nick Gardner ran a 53.18, so quite a bit slower lap than everybody else out there as our race leader. Maybe falling off here a little bit. We'll have to keep an eye on this and see how quickly Alex Pelican can catch him. And if he catches him, if he's got enough left in the tank, or maybe just burning up his equipment more than that 18 truck. And that could be the strategy call here for Jacob Grube with such a big lead out there on the Speedway. You can kind of lay back. You can kind of take a bit of a chill pill, sit back, relax, kind of let the race kind of come to you. If somebody catches you, if somebody shows you that they can find their way to your back bumper, then you got a little extra left in the tank here. You haven't burnt up your equipment trying to hunt, down or lay down really fast lap times, and saving a little bit of those tires could help you out later in this race. As ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we did start a goal over there on YouTube as well. We did start a goal over there on YouTube. Check it out over in the chat over there on YouTube. As not a huge goal, just a solid goal. And if we hit that goal here this evening, what we're going to do is we're going to do a Q&A with the drivers post-race. We'll get a bunch of the drivers to hop into a open channel if they want to be asked questions or anything else, and you guys as the fans in the stands can shoot your messages, your questions into the chat, and we will ask the drivers your questions, see what they got to say about potentially certain aspects of the race, or why they do it, or what they were thinking at a certain point out there on the Speedway, or any questions that you want to ask these drivers. If they're single, anything you want to ask them, it's up for grabs. So if we hit that goal, we need 5 super chats over there in the YouTube stream to hit that goal, and we'll do a Q&A here post-race with hopefully each and every one of these drivers, whoever's still in the Discord and able to hop in here with us. As Jacob Grube continues to lead this race, the lead is down to just under 3 seconds now. Pelican in that Grizzly, Bucky's Silverado, they're in position number 2, trying to hunt him down as Nick Nicholas Snyder now found his way into that third spot on the Speedway, looking to try to hunt both of these cats down in front of him. As Cal Turboville slides back to fourth, Nick Garner there in fifth. Mark Beverly back in sixth with Brandon Domingue, Nate Maurer, Zach Michael, and Kevin Winker. K-Dub right there in position number 10 on the racetrack. Josh Healy on the outside of the top 10 looking in with Brad Lane there in 12th. Chris Gilbert, Stephen Hines there in 14th, and Tyson Pankow in his 09 laser engraving. Bulletproof Motorsports Dirt Track Junkies number 91 right there, rounding out our top 15. Nathaniel Ostrowiecki there in 16th with Brandon Eastman, the driver who stayed out there the longest this afternoon. Now he came down pit road a few laps later than everybody else in this number 12 right, so he does have the freshest tires and potentially could be laying down the fastest lap times here this evening. We'll have to wait and see if that can, gain him some track positions late in this race. If he can start to navigate and find that extra little bit of grip as everyone else starts to struggle, maybe he can race his way up towards the top 10 here this evening, but right now sits back in 17th. And Koscherberger there in position number 18 with John Herbert there in 19th and Tim Blankenbackler rounding out our top 20. Ryan Peterson back there in 21st with John McCulloch there in 22nd. Joshua Ledoux back in 23rd with Brian Chu back there behind him in the 24th spot on the racetrack. Brett Summers there in 25th with Kyle Van Tassel. Neil Lapidus, Matt Langley there in 28th. Robert McDonald scored back in 29th. Robert Howard there in 30th with Josh Peacock back in 31st. Looks like Peacock has taken his car now off the racetrack. Heartbreaker there for Peacock. Heartbreaker there for Jason LePan and William Klein, because it looks like three drivers have loaded up their rides back onto the haulers here and have called it quits this afternoon as Peacock, LePan, and William Klein all parked down behind pit wall and off of the racing surface. So we start with 33 trucks. We're down to 30 here this evening. We've only seen one caution flag out there on the Speedway. It's been non-stop green flag racing, and the battle for the race lead continues to heat up as Jacob Grube out in front by 1.7 seconds. Alex Pelican trying to hunt him down back here in position number 2. But is Pelican burning up his equipment? Is he using up his stuff, trying to race his way up to our race leader's back bumper? He's now got a teammate in between himself and Jacob Grube, so he's got to worry a little bit about this 21 truck, maybe throwing a couple blocks, maybe making life a little bit more difficult here for that 16 machine, as definitely the Pop Smoke Ryan gonna try to help out his teammate out in front, try to at least slow that number 16 truck down a little bit. I think mission accomplished right there down into core number 3, as Pelican really had to figure out a different way to get around some of that traffic right there, and unfortunately slides back, and he's still making up ground though. Still a blazing fast lap right here compared to Jacob Grube. It seems like Grube doesn't even have fresh tires on this 18 truck, with those fresh tires coming back there behind him, as he's about still almost a second slower than Alex Pelican on that last lap, and you can see them now in the same picture, the same frame as Jacob Grube has Alex Pelican coming. It's less than a second now. It's right around that second marker here, but now Jacob Grube can kind of play that cat and mouse game where maybe over these last 5-6 laps as Pelican has been pushing the subject and trying to hunt him down and using up his equipment, burning up those tires. Jacob Grube's been just taking it nice and easy, staying breezy out there, maybe saved, and now has got better tires than that 16 truck. Now could come down to just speed and strategy out there on the Speedway, and for Jacob Grube, I'm sure he's been playing a lot of it, and now Pelican right there, man. He's not too far away, man. It's going to be tight to his back bumper in just a few more laps. We'll see if the 18 truck picks it up at all right there. He's only about 0.3 of a second slower than Alex Pelican that last lap around, but still gaining quite a bit. Nicholas Snyder back there behind both of them, hunting them both down here on the racetrack. Now he's only, a second and a half or so, not even a second and a half. He's only about a second back there behind our race leaders, so going to be tight racing here all the way down to the checker flag, ladies and gentlemen, as that 469 ride not going to give up. He's still first car one lap down for Ryan Peterson, and he's holding strong here in position number 2, and that's really helping out that 18 machine of Jacob Grube, as it hasn't allowed that 16 truck away around him, but down through quarter 4, looks like Pelican's finally going to make that move, get around Mr. Peterson right there, and now no one in between our top 2 drivers here on the racetrack. No one between Jacob Grube and Alex Pelican, as it is 7/10 of a second between first and second here on the Speedway. Now it's going to be really down to who's got the better tires, who's been saving, who's been pressing the subject, who's got that late race gear that they can just quickly so maybe take that race lead away from the 18 ride and put themselves up and into victory lane here this evening. Group, Pelican, Nicholas, all right there, 1, 2, and 3. They aren't separated by a lot out there on the racetrack. They're all virtually within a second of each other out there on the racetrack, and it's going to come right down to the wire here in this one. Is down across the line. We're going to see only 8 laps left to go, ladies and gentlemen. 8 more laps left of racing action here this evening as you see Cal Turbeville get up into the outside wall there a little bit out of corner number 4 as he's starting to race his way up into the picture here as well. Everyone else starting to slow down the pace here towards the front of the field, and it's allowing all these other drivers that were back there a little deeper in the field to start racing their way back up into the picture here as Nick Gardner now into 4th here. He's worked himself around Cal Turbeville. Turbeville slides back to 5th, but they're all hunting down our race leader, Jacob Grube, out there on the Speedway as Grube still about half a second here between himself and Alex Pelican. Pelican hasn't been able to get right to his back bumper here. Still rolling better laps though. He's still inching away inch by inch, getting closer and closer to that back bumper of Jacob Grube. And now the big question is going to be, does Grube have enough to hold him off? Or does Pelican have enough to race his way around him? He may be able to catch him, but trying to make that pass is a whole different question mark out there on the Speedway. It's a whole different ball game once you get to their back bumper. You start to get that dirty air onto your hood, and if they start to throw some blocks and killing your momentum out there on the Speedway, what's that going to do to your ride here this afternoon? As Grube, it is tight racing here at the front of the field, and Nicholas Snyder sees these guys sizing each other up. That 16 truck, he's just being patient right now. If he's still got the faster ride, kind of waiting and biding his time, hoping to see a mistake out of that 18 truck, or trying to figure out where he's strong and where he's weak out there on that Speedway, and where he needs to take advantage of that 18 ride, and where he needs to try to make that move. It may be down on corner entry, it may be on corner exit, it may be just a set of corners. He may be better in 1 and 2 and a little worse in 3 and 4, and potentially that's where he needs to make the move. That's maybe where he needs to strike, and I think right now it is a very big learning moment rolling in behind that 18 truck here for Alex Pelican, as he wants to make this pass and take the race lead away, but he wants to do it cleanly. But as he's been waiting patiently here and trying to bide his time, you see that 5 rider, Nicholas Snyder, catching up to both of them. Now Snyder does have the better tire over each of these drivers, as he was down pit road a couple laps after Jacob Grube and 1 lap after Alex Pelican. It doesn't seem like much, but each of those laps could mean a extra little bit of traction, that extra little bit of speed, and could be the difference maker between finding yourself in victory lane or not here this evening. As Jacob Grube out in front, nice and easy down through corner number 3 and out of corner number 4, back down the Brickyard front straightaway here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. They'll get the big high five here from our flagman. 5 more laps left to go here this evening. 5 more laps of racing action here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway as the 18 of Jacob Grube leads us back down the start-finish line. You see our top 3 all right there. You can throw a blanket over them. Only about a truck length separating each of them now on the racetrack as Jacob Grube looks to try to hold them both off. Pelican and Snyder both looking to try to put themselves back up into victory lane. Nick Gardner, unfortunately, he's a little farther back, about 4 seconds back behind all that battle, and they're at the front of the field as he rolls in position number 4. Cal Turbeville there in 5th with Mark Beverly back in 6th. Zach Michael, Kevin Winker up inside the top 10 there. Great run today for K-Dub as he rolls there in that 8th position. Josh Ely in the Dirt Track Junkies, 09 Laser Engraving, number 83 right back there in 9th, and Brandon DeMing rounding out our top 10. Nate Maurer there in 11th with Brad Lane, Chris Gilbert, Stephen Hines, and Tyson Pankow rounding out our top 15 as Jacob Grube continues to lead the way. You see Pelican getting a little closer to his back bumper with only 4 more laps left to go. Really starting to put the pressure here onto that Pop Smoke number 18 machine of Jacob Grube, as Grube has to be picture perfect perfect here. You can't make a mistake. You cannot slip up. You cannot slide around. You cannot have an issue late in the race, especially with those drivers right there on your back bumper. One slip up, they're going to be able to pounce on top of that and able to make some moves and maybe get around you in a quick hurry. So you got to run picture perfect here and maybe throw some big blocks, try to keep that dirty air onto their hoods where their trucks are getting a little tighter. They're getting a little worse as now you see that 5 machine of Nicholas Snyder. He's in that same boat trying to get around that 16 truck. Could not get down to the inside. Had to take a look to the outside. Really nothing up there, and unfortunately going to slide a few truck lengths back as Pelican trying to get another big run, trying to size up this 18 ride, try to draft to his back bumper and see if he can beat him down into corner number 1 or get down to his inside, maybe give him a brotherly shove in the a little bit of a bump and run here late in this race. See Snyder get very loose right there, take the outside fence ever so slightly. He's definitely pushing that 5 truck, trying to get everything he can out of it, and starting to make some mistakes, and that's exactly what Jacob Grube wants to see, him making some mistakes back there behind him, taking him kind of out of the picture here this evening as Grube just trying to hang on to it, man. This has got to be some nerve-wracking time here for Jacob and his team and for all of his fans in the stands cheering him on this afternoon, just not knowing whether or not the bump and run is coming or whether or not Alex Pelican or Nicholas Snyder have something left in the tank late in this race to make a big move and try to take this race lead away from him and beat him here this afternoon in the Joy Richards 81 presented by RidgePowerSports. It's down the front straightaway back across the line. We see these drivers hit 2 laps left to go here in this race. 2 more laps left here in this one. We've only seen 1 caution flag on this final couple of laps. Do we see another issue happen? Do we see a late race yellow flag come out and really just throw a wrench into everything here this evening? Or do we see it stay clean and green as they head down the back straightaway? They're only halfway, only half a track left here to see that white flag. And that's what each and every one of them I know are wanting to see. They don't want to see that caution flag come out. They don't want to have that tough decision on whether or not to come down pit side or not, or to stay out there on the speedway. And if you're Jacob Grube, it's still a question of potentially not having enough fuel in the tank here in that 18 truck as well. We saw him come down a little bit sooner than the other 2 drivers back there behind him, but I do believe he should be able to make it to the end, but we'll find out here as down across the line we see that white flag fly. So one more time around here this afternoon in the Joy Richards 81 presented by RidgePowerSports in the HCK Beagles here this evening from Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's Jacob Grube who leads us down through quarter 1 and out of quarter number 2. The Pop Smoke 22 ride heads back down the back straightaway for the final time here this afternoon as the 5 machine of Nicholas Snyder getting a little squirrely there down and out of quarter number 2, able to hang on to that truck, keep it going in the right direction. He stays right there on Alex Pelican's back bumper as Jacob Grube able to start to separate himself from that second place battle as he's opened up that race lead once again. And for the final time here this evening, down through 3 and out of quarter number 4 here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the Brickyard, it's Jacob Grube who's going to pick up the checkered flag here in the Joy Richards 81 presented by RidgePowerSports. It's Jacob Grube who captures the victory here this evening, and he will get the kiss the bricks. He'll drink the milk down in the Indy victory lane here this evening. Such a historic racetrack, such a amazing win, and such a beautiful moment here for that 18 ride of Jacob Grube as him, his friends, his family, and all of his sponsors and fans in the stands get to cheer him on and celebrate with him this afternoon as he's able to hold off Alex Pelican and Nicholas Snyder and put this 18 truck, the Pop Smoke 22 ride, up and in to victory lane here this evening as we'll get ready to see Jacob Grube roll back down around the racetrack and onto the front straightaway where he's going to burn down the house here in Indy and celebrate, because this is a big one. We're going to see the excitement. We're going to see this 18 truck really give us a show here, burning down the houses. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's get some congratulations up into the chat. Let's get some hashtag 18s here for Jacob Grube as he's able to get the dub and pull himself up and into victory lane here this evening, man. What a run and what a drive there for that number 18. Whew. baby. It got nerve-wracking there for a little bit, but we knew he was kind of waiting and biding his time, seeing those drivers catch up and roll to his back bumper. Seemed like he was just trying to save maybe a little bit of fuel, maybe trying to save a little bit of tire there. And as you see this truck, I think he's out of gas, chat. We knew it was going to be tight for him. We knew the pit strategy was definitely tight there for the 18 truck, and I don't think we're going to see a burnout. I don't think he's going to be able to do a burnout. He's going to have to wait for hopefully one of his teammates here to maybe push him down to the start-finish line, as that 18 machine was out of fuel. So that means if we were to see a late race caution flag potentially taking this 18 truck out of contention, he may have had to come down pit road and throw some fuel into that ride and may not have been able to stay out there on the racetrack for another couple laps. So a lucky break for the 18. Tough break there for Alex Pelican and Nicholas Snyder, as that calculator working overtime here this afternoon for that 18 machine. Just had enough fuel in this truck to get down across the line and rolling down into corner number 1 and 2 and down the back straightaway. Seemed like that truck had finally ran out of fuel, and now you do see the Tech Warrior number 19 rider Ed Koschersberger pushing him down down the front straightaway here and up into what would be the Indianapolis Motor Speedway victory lane, man. What a moment here for the Pop Smoke 22. The Tech Warrior rides out there on the Speedway as Ed gets to push this 20 machine of Jacob Grube to the start-finish line here, where he's going to be able to kiss the bricks. He's going to be able to celebrate here this afternoon. Unfortunately, out of fuel, and doesn't look like we're going to get a burnout here this evening for that 18 machine, as we'll get ready to pull these drivers in. As Kevin Winker says, up 20 spots at Indy is impressive. Up 20 spots in Indy is definitely very impressive, especially after only one caution flag out there on the Speedway, man. What a run, what a drive by each and every one of these drivers, man. 81 laps, only one caution flag here fairly early in this race. Multiple green flag pit stops, multiple different leaders, and everything else, man. That was a great show, an amazing race, and Lisa McDonald coming in with that like on the stream. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you guys haven't already, make sure you guys do exactly what Lisa just did. Hit that like button on the broadcast right now for us. Hit that thumbs up button. Hit that follow or subscribe button. Become part of the Peacemaker family here today, and drop a couple comments. Even if you're rewatching the broadcast, make sure you guys do that as well. Even if we're no longer live and you're rewatching the stream, hit that thumbs up button, drop a couple comments, and make sure to become a part of the Peacemaker family here today, as we'll get ready to pull our top 3 up and into the broadcast booth for their post-race interviews. Top 3 waiting patiently down pit side. Let's get them up here into the booth, as ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, our race winner, Jacob Grube. Hey Jacob, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker broadcasting booth. To get a copy?
Hey Aaron, I got you.
Jacob, man, what a run, what a race. We saw a ton of speed out of this 18 truck, and obviously the calculators working overtime here this afternoon, and just enough fuel for you to keep those drivers of Alex Pelican and Nicholas Snyder and all these other cats back there behind you, as you're able to pick up the checkered flag here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway here this evening in the Joy Richards 81, presented by RidgePowerSports. Man, take us back through this race, and what's going through your mind right now is you had to get push back down the front straightaway here and up onto the start-finish line.
Hey, thanks, Aaron. Yeah, that was a really fun race. I really enjoyed it. Like to see, kind of come down to a little more than just speed at the end, like seeing the strategy and stuff like that. That was a lot of fun. I was sweating it, honestly. I'm sitting here looking at my fuel calculator this whole time, like I didn't think I could make it. And I started getting closer, and I just kept. At the end, I caught a little draft, and I had just enough buffer between the guys behind me. And it could have gone either way, honestly, but I was fortunate enough to have saved through that whole run, and just have enough right at the end.
Yeah, just having enough there. When did it turn off? As it looked like just out of corner number 2, that truck finally ran out of fuel and had to coast back down the back straightaway down through corner 3 and 4 before that Tech Warrior number 19, Ed Koschersberger, was able to catch your back bumper and push you back up here to the front straightaway.
Yeah, I had to call on him to give me a push up there. But hats off to the podium finishers. They ran a great race. I got out maybe a little too far ahead of them, and I started to get nervous that I had used too much fuel, because they were being real smart back there, just saving fuel and waiting. So hats off to them. They ran a great race. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely, a lot of fun, some great racing, and as you were trying to save that fuel and trying to navigate yourself up here into victory lane, you saw that 5.5 second lead after that final green flag set of pit stops there. You had a big lead between yourself and Alex Pelican, and quickly that time was getting smaller and smaller and smaller as he and Nicholas Snyder were hunting you down. Were you getting a little nervous there that they were going to be able to catch you, have that extra fuel, and just drive right on and around you?
Yeah, I was definitely getting nervous, and I was trying to, square in my head and said, am I just gonna race them and see what happens, or am I just gonna let them go by as I save fuel? Because, I've had a pretty rough last few races, so I just needed a good finish. So, um, yeah, had I not had enough fuel, or if it was any closer than it was, I was just gonna let them go and try to get a good finish.
Absolutely. Well, it ended up being a very good finish for you as you pull that Pop Smoke 22 truck up and into victory lane here at the Brickyard. Jacob, who would you like to thank, man, for such a great run and strong performance out there on the racetrack?
Well, so I thank the sponsors we got on the truck, Pop Smoke 22. Check those guys out for some T-shirts. They support veterans, and Tech Warrior for all your computer needs, and then of course the team for putting the practices together this week and getting everybody brushed up on Indy and a little bit better to come out here and be competitive. So thanks to them.
Absolutely. Well, Jacob, great run, great drive. Congratulations on the victory here this afternoon in the Joy Richards 81 presented by RidgePowerSports. Jacob, we can't wait to see you back out there on the racetrack next Tuesday, and hopefully we'll see you right back up here in victory lane, putting that Pop Smoke machine back up into the top spot here in, a week's time, as we'll see you guys back to battle and see who can get it done. And I'm not sure where we're headed next week, but I know nonetheless it's going to be a great race and an amazing battle out there once again, and potentially, another, fuel strategy game that you're going to have to play again.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Aaron. See you next week.
Absolutely. Enjoy the rest of your night, and congratulations again on the dub. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for our race winner, Jacob Grube. As Grube picks up the win here this afternoon, man. What a run and what a drive there for that 18 machine as he gets the job done and pulls that 18 right up and into the Brickyard victory lane here this evening as he's going to get ready to kiss the bricks and drink the milk down there in victory lane here at beautiful Indianapolis Motor Speedway as we'll get ready to pull in our second place finisher here this evening, the bridesmaid this afternoon, the 16 truck of Alex Pelican. Pelican coming up once again, just a spot shy, but having another strong performance out there on the racetrack. Let's get him up here into the broadcast booth. Hey, Alex, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker broadcasting booth. Do you get a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Alex, man, another strong run, another great race for you here this afternoon as you're able to race your way from deep in this field. Obviously, qualifying in that pole position showed you had a ton of speed in this 16 truck. And then, through that first run, we see about 15, 16 laps of green flag racing, and you run your way up inside the top 20 there. And then you gain a couple spots during that, pit stop cycle. And all of a sudden, you're starting to race your way back up inside the top 10 and slowly but surely up through the top 5. And then late in this race, you're right there in that contention for the race win as you are in position number 2 and hunting down Jacob Grube. Unfortunately, once you got him, just looked like you just couldn't quite get through that dirty air and couldn't make the move around him there as he had to settle in for position number 2 and trying to play a little defense yourself there and keep Nicholas Snyder from driving around yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good race. Wish I wouldn't have had the UL to begin with, but yeah, we'll take second.
Yeah, absolutely. And nothing wrong with a second place finish here after, virtually almost a clean and green race. Only that one caution flag, multiple green flag pit stops, a lot of things that could go wrong out there, especially with those green flag stops. And you were able to just hit your marks, keep your foot in the throttle, and keep on picking them off. And driving from the back of the pack up here into position number 2 with only that one caution flag. You're at a racetrack that's pretty tough to pass, so you got to be pretty happy with that. Almost got to feel like a win that you were that close to being able to complete the comeback and going from the penthouse all the way back to the doghouse to start this race, and then going from the doghouse almost up into the penthouse here this evening.
Yeah, felt like I was able to capitalize when get behind somebody and just let them make the mistake and uh, just drive by them, and did that, enough times to where it actually worked out, and was able to get up front.
Absolutely. Well, Alex, who would you like to thank here this evening for such a great run and solid performance here in this race?
I'd like to thank all the league admins and everybody that does this so we can race, and then all the sponsors that you know support this, and you for broadcasting.
Absolutely, brother. Well, Alex, great run, great drive. We can't wait to see you back out there on the racetrack next Tuesday. Hopefully, right back up here at the broadcast booth, maybe one spot better and up the victory lane, as I do believe, hopefully, no EOL for you next week. So if you can qualify on the pole again, at least next week, you get to start up there and just put on a show and not have to drive through the field.
Yeah, we got no EOL next week, so hopefully we can make a little magic happen.
Absolutely. Well, we look forward to seeing that magic out there on the racetrack. Alex, congrats on the great run, and we'll see you back out there in a week's time.
Yep, thank you.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for Alex Pelican. Is Alex coming home in position number 2. Great running, great drive there for that 16 machine. As now we'll get ready to pull in our third place finisher, that number 5 ride of Nicholas Snyder. Snyder coming home in position number 3 here this evening. Let's get him up here into the broadcast booth. Hey, Nick, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker broadcasting booth. Did you copy?
Yes, sir.
Nick, man, another solid run, another great drive here for you tonight at Indy as we saw you lead some laps. We saw that truck very, very strong here throughout the evening and late in that race, having the couple lap better tires. You were tracking these guys down. Unfortunately, once you got there, just seemed like you were maybe pushing the truck too hard or maybe burnt up that equipment just a little bit and just couldn't quite find your way back around Alex Pelican or Jacob Group here in those closing laps.
Yeah, another Indy, I mean, I'm happy about third, but, this is 2 years in a row. I kind of lost this race because of fuel mileage and fuel strategy type of things, but, that's how some of these races go. I thought I was in a catbird seat there. I thought Jacob was for sure going to run out, so I wasn't focused on, like, tracking him down. I was just more worried about tracking Alex down because I thought that would have been the race for the lead, to be honest. But again, congrats to Jacob, for stretching it longer than I think anyone could. I know I couldn't. But yeah, all in all, it was just fun race. I thought I did the right strategy this time, but failed up again and came up third again, as I did last year. So just got to, clean up a couple mistakes on my part, and qualifying. I'm finally qualifying a little bit better. I just need to do one more spot better.
Yeah, absolutely. So close to that pole position, but still starting up there at the front of the field, putting on a show early in this race, and then here at the end tracking those guys. And as you said, man, that fuel strategy, it can hurt you, it can help you some nights, and unfortunately getting here tonight and for the second year in a row hurt me a little bit, man, as it was oh so close. And for Jacob Grube, just saving enough there as he was rolling down through quarter 1 and 2, and that truck ran out, man. So you were half a lap virtually from being able to just drive right around him. But Pelican super fast here this evening as well. It would have been interesting to see you two do get out there for another lap or there late in the race, knowing that the 18 was going to run out, and see if you could have gotten around him late in this one.
Yeah, as I said before, I thought I was in a catbird seat, having one lap fresher tires than Alex, but just some of these lap cars just I'm not trying to bitch or anything, but they just have no common courtesy to lead lap cars or, anything. I get it. They're just trying to race their own race. But, when there's 15, 20 to go and you're already a lap down, your race is ruined. And air is so crucial here at Indy. So on long green flag runs, it just makes it super hard to pass. And, you just got guys just pulling right out in front of you and taking the air off of your nose. And, I think that's what ultimately kind of hurt my run there. I don't name any names, but, I had a couple cars just pull out right in front and just wanted to race on my outside and wanted the air block. And time that I got to Jacob and Alex, I can already tell my front was hurt. And I was just kind of hoping, Jacob and Alex could get battling there and side draft each other down the front stretch, and maybe could get a run and take a 3 wide and just put both of them kind of in a bad situation there.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, never happened. Never saw that opportunity. And he had to settle in for a third-place run here this evening again. Nick has a strong run, strong performance. Still not the finishing one, man, but oh so close here tonight. But a great run nonetheless, man. Who'd you like to thank for such a great truck and so much speed out there on the Speedway here this evening?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Billy, and then all my crew, Ian and Julie and Dean. They help me with racing in real life. So, I'm thankful that, Ryan and Greg and all the HCK admins, take their time and put a season schedule for us to race on Tuesday nights. And, obviously thank you for taking your Tuesday night. You could be spending it with family or, other places, but I'm thankful for you for broadcasting this race. And, I just hope it was a good show for the fans.
Absolutely, brother. Definitely a great show. Some great racing out there here this afternoon. And Nick, we can't wait to see you guys back in action next Tuesday night. And hopefully we'll see this 5 ride right back up here in the broadcast booth, maybe a couple spots better, and back up in victory lane.
Yes, sir. That's always the plan. Thank you.
Beauty. Enjoy the rest of your night.
You too.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for our third place finisher, Nick Snyder. Snyder coming home there in position number 3. Great run and great drive there for that number 5 ride. As ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that's going to do it for us here this afternoon. I can't thank you guys enough for tuning in. Everyone coming in, showing the love with the likes, the comments, the shares, man. I appreciate each and every single one of you, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. And if you did enjoy that show, and you're watching the race right now, or you're re-watching it, and we're currently not live anymore, but you're at this point, make sure you guys do us a favor, man. It's absolutely free to do, helps us out a ton. Hit the like button on the stream right now, hit that thumbs up button, hit that share button if you're feeling courteous, and make sure you definitely hit that follow or that subscribe button. Become part of the Peacemaker family here today and turn those bell notifications on. That way you never miss it when we go live here on Peacemaker Gaming. But we'll catch you guys back up here in the broadcast booth tomorrow night. I can't wait to see each and every one of you back up in the grandstands to cheer these drivers on, as tomorrow evening we'll go back to battle with our Wednesday night street fights. A little dirt street stock action up here on the broadcast and up on the channel. So some more dirt track racing for us. Always fun, always exciting. We can't wait to see the Dirt Warrior Racing League back in action, duking it out here tomorrow evening. And hopefully we see each and every one of you there cheering those drivers on. But thank y'all for watching here this evening. Huge shout out to all of our amazing sponsors here on the HCK Beagles. And obviously huge shout out to the Joy Richards 81 race here this afternoon and all the drivers that put on such a great show for us here this afternoon. And a huge shout out to our sponsors here this evening on this race, as this was all powered by RidgePowerSports. So huge shout out to RidgePowerSports. You guys can check them out over on YouTube and I do believe over on Facebook and their website. Check out RidgePowerSports and get all the gear that you need, as Ridge coming on board and being the sponsor here for the Joy Richards 81 this evening, man. We can't thank them enough for being a part of this amazing show, an amazing race this afternoon. But thank you all for watching. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace and love, ladies and gentlemen. Peace and love.
Friends for pets! Friends for pets!
Trucks flying through the night, NASCAR dreams within our sight. Asphalt heroes in the fight, peacemakers gaining light so bright. Revving it up, feel the pace, speed hounds in the race. Feel the thrill, feel the chase, victory is our holy place. Throttle down, no time to waste, in this high-octane haste. Every corner, every taste, leads us closer to first place. Under lights, the engine scream, this is more than just a dream. Through the asphalt like a beam, racers' hearts with fervor gleam. In this game we find our might, push the pedal like the night. With each lap our spirits flight, racing on with all our might. Trucks flying through the night, NASCAR dreams within our sight. Asphalt heroes in the fight, peacemakers gaining life so bright. Revving it up, feel the pace, speed hounds in the race. Feel the thrill, feel the chase, victory is our holy place. Thrill the place, thrill the place. Throttle down, no time to waste, in this high-octane haste. Feel the thrill, feel the chase, victory is our holy place. Throttle down, no time to waste, in this high-octane haste. Every corner, every taste, leads us closer to first place. Throttle down, no time to waste, in this high-octane haste. In this high-octane haste, every corner, every taste, leads us closer to first place. Under lights, the engine scream, this is more than just a dream. Through the asphalt like a beam, racers' hearts with fervor gleam. In this game we find our might, push the pedal like the night. With each lap our spirits flight, racing on with all our might.